आपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरूणामाकृतिं स्मरेतेन विघ्नप्रणश्यन्ति सिद्ध्यन्ति च मनोरथः। लक्ष्मीन्तनोतुलितरामितरानपेक्षमङ्गलद्वयं निगमशाकिशिखाप्रवालं हैरम्बमम्बुरुहडम्बरचौर्यनिग्रं विघ्नाद्रिभेदशतधारधुरन्धरः। Sarvesham Swagatam. Welcome to a Bhashya session. So this Bhashya session was pending for the last shloka of the fifth adhyaya, that is the importance of pradakshina and namaskara. So starting from that shloka, Renukuntita Gatrasya. So the meaning is pretty simple, that while we do the namaskar, I think when somebody does do the Ashtanga Namaskara or Sakshat Dandavat or whatever it has to be, it is called, when that or when somebody has to make that do the perform the namaskara, they will have it in their mind that if I do it on the floor, then the floor may not be clean. So therefore, it means that something might be there that it might stick to my body, etc., etc. So how is that considered clean? Because puja or when we talk about adhyatma, when we talk about anything to do with worship, especially, it is closely associated with shaucha, cleanliness. So then, how is it that doing that or risking getting dirty actually allows or is considered as good? So, keeping that in mind, the shloka Renukuntita Gatrasya Kanayavanti Bharata. So this is where it is addressed, that person. Bharata here is us, but it is addressed to us, that is the lineage, that a person who does this, he is doing it with the intention of prostration to the Almighty. So there is a sense of surrender that not that allows one person, that person, to completely give up the manifested form or association with the manifested form. Because when in mind I say, okay, I will surrender to an esoteric entity, when a higher power, as we want to understand, we are thinking in our mind, okay, that person is also that entity is also not in manifested form. And if I'm thinking in my mind, I don't have to show that towards anybody also. So this comes back to that understanding that I have, if I have to disassociate with my manifested form, I have to perform through my manifested form certain kriyas that will bring about that detachment. So that is the reason Hatha yogis usually go through a very painful experience, and they need that pain. They pursue that pain, thinking that when I push my body to these levels of pain, these levels of sadhana, I understand that my body gets tired, but my mind does not. My body feels the pain, my mind does not. So the distinction is achieved through that. And that is when they are able to disassociate. So here too, we are trying the same principle, where the understanding is simply that while we are doing an action which may or may not get us dirty, by doing that action, we are submitting to the possibility that regardless of what happens to our body, our mind, that is the intention of surrendering to a higher entity, is achieved. So it is the shloka says that tavad varsha sahasrani, as many as the we will earn punya only. That is the intention over here. So even if our body gets dirty while doing the namaskara, as many as the kana, of dust particles that touches my body while doing the namaskara, so many thousands of years of punya is earned. So that is the meaning, and that is the importance of namaskara as an action. Namaskara and pradakshina. Then we move on to the next chapter, which is the importance of Naivedya. Now, for that, we need a lot of Puranas have mentioned a lot of shlokas with respect to Vishnu Naivedya, the Shreshtatva, the importance, etc., etc. Everything has been mentioned, and some of the Puranas have been mentioned over here. There is a shloka from Padma Purana, Narada Purana, Varaha, and Brahmavaivarta Purana. All of them have been mentioned. But we need to understand it in a more scientific uh, sense. So, why Naivedya is given such importance? First, we will talk about food. Food is extremely important for sustenance. This is something. But apart from that, food is a source of energy. Food is the I wouldn't say only source, but the main source of energy. So now when we are considering food to be the main source of energy, and we are considering here Hari as the main Chaitanya, so here we need to understand how that energy is passed through us, or how we assimilate it, how we contain it, how do we act, etc., etc., how do we use it, and all that. But that doesn't become a part of the main shlokas. Here we need to understand something called as energy cleansing. So energy can be in any form. There is no limitation to that. So let me take the example of sunlight. Sunlight in its pure form cannot be sustained. I mean, we will not be able to uh, uh, sustain it. We will not be able to bear it. But let us add an ozone layer, let us add some other, let us take the distance between the earth and the sun, let us come really far off, and at that point of time the rays that we receive are just enough for to give us energy. So there the solar energy what we are receiving is just enough for us to use. So therefore we are not finding any negative of it. But consider raw energy. Consider something beyond those limits, like food, for example. If I take something, if I consume too much, then what happens? Conversion of energy is extremely difficult, and it develops because we are a manifested form. It starts to bring out some negative effects. Therefore, we have energy cleansing. What do we mean by energy cleansing? It is nothing but decluttering. Imagine that your desk is completely cluttered with stuff. It has no space for anything else. Just like our mind, if a lot of things are added to our mind, if we are chintakranta, if we are thinking too much, then what happens? We don't have space for thinking what should be thought. That is the important. We are not able to take the decisions. So energy cleansing is nothing but it is clearing. It is a practice that is used to remove the so-called um, negative is a connotation, negative energy we can say, or we can say unproductive energy, something that is ruining my certain state of existence. That means it is creating it is diverting my mind from the current state of existence, and it is not allowing me to focus on now. So now I have what do I have to do? I have to declutter myself. I have to remove all that. So now, speaking specifically of the energy that we receive from food, if that happens within our body, and there is a huge way how the energy gets transformed with the ashtadhatus and all those things when the theory comes up. it transforms. It takes 48 days for the food that we eat to go from one form to another 48 from one form to another, like that it goes. So now when we are doing that, when it takes such a long time, then obvious that there are times when the food that we are eating might not be productive, might not bring about productive changes in our uh, bodily conditions. So therefore, what happens? We need to clean that energy. We need to make sure that it doesn't clutter our system. For that, upavasa fasting, as it is popularly called, is a very popular way of cleaning that energy. And that there are different kinds of ways to clean the energy, but because we are only talking about this particular food energy that we are absorbing through food, so we are talking about upvasa. If you're talking about declutter our mind, then we can talk about the ghantanada, sound healing it is called, as where drums, bells, and singing music, all that can declutter our mind. Then visualization, that is watching something, that can also divert us, like that. So etc etc, this is there. And incense, burning incense, um, and then aromatherapy. There are so many things, especially now with the western um, civilization getting interested in these things also. There are many such things that have been developed. So the benefit of energy cleansing is simple. It reduces the stress and anxiety, and it improves mood. It is to bring about productivity, it is to bring about spiritual growth. That's all. Here specifically, when we talk about the energy cleansing through upavasa, that fasting, so we are allowing the body to don't let us consume that we are eating so much, and then the body has to digest it and then convert it into energy and then store it in certain form. Now because we are eating too much, or because we are eating something that is difficult to digest, the body starts to focus a lot on conservation of that particular, or processing that particular food. So upavasa allows the body to rest, and making it a clockwork, making it cyclical, always doing it after so many days, making it, or doing it in the following the lunar cycle. So that way what happens, upavasa actually helps the body to uh, relieve itself of the negative manifestation, negative energy from the food, arising from the food. Now, why Upavasa has come over here? It says that Naivedya has the power of doing Upavasa for 100 days. So, Naivedya is again food only, but it has a special something. That means it is something that where Samarpana has happened, and therefore it has gained certain qualities which allows it to rejuvenate the body. And this has to do with this has a lot to do with the ingredients used. So we will have a look at that later on. But Naivedya is also useful for energy cleansing, and it is said that Naivedya is equivalent to doing Upavasa 100 days. So that is one of the reasons why uh, it is said, usually in the Satyanarayana Katha, it is said that those who offer, excuse me, it is said that when Naivedya is offered as prasada to anybody, even if the person did not go to the temple, one should never say no to it. One should never reject it. It comes up in Satyanarayana Katha that Satyanarayana Prasada and an invitation to go to Satyanarayana Puja must never be rejected. So Naivedya has the power to clean the energy, or take about the process of energy cleansing, especially that energy which brings about, um, which is usually brought about through food. So there, when we say cleansing, what are we trying to say? We are trying to say detoxification and mental clarity and emotional release. What we need to understand is our state, a bodily state is such that if I have a pain, I am not able to focus on something. So mind gets attached to the body. So making sure that we relieve our mind, we need to keep our body in a good shape, or we need to completely detach ourselves. Because we are not able to do the latter, we have to focus on the former. So for that, Naivedya all is instrumental in energy cleansing. That energy that is brought about through food. That is the importance of these verses. Astu. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण मही महिषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।